Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I thought I'd show you how we can use Gatsby Transformer plugins to create pages programmatically during build time. And so I have in front of me the default Gatsby project that I initiated by just running npx gatsby-node dot to create a project in the current directory. So if we start that project now, we can have a look at how it looks. And while we wait for that to boot up, here I have the Gatsby site. So let's take a look at the plugins that we're going to be exploring today. So this is loading. Transformer plugins is what we're interested in. In particular, we're going to look at Gatsby Transformer Remark, so that we could process Markdown files and create pages using those. Then we're going to have a look at Gatsby Transformer JSON, same thing but with JSON files, and then let's have a look at YAML files as well using Gatsby Transformer YAML. So our project is now running here. Localhost 8000, there we are. That's the default starter. And we have a couple of pages. So I'm actually even gonna delete that page. And Visual Studio Code has a nice plugin this release that doesn't update the file tree. Either way, so first things first. Let's start with, I guess, with Markdown. I don't know what's easiest really. It doesn't matter. Let's start with Markdown files. That's how we add the plugin. Get the transformer remark. So you would come in here, and you could of course use npm install save. I'm just gonna use yarn add Gatsby what was it, transformer remark. It has a lot of options. We definitely don't need all of these. We can skip most of those just for the sake of like creating a POC. So in our case, we could just add the plugin to Gatsby config under, let's say here at the bottom of the list. Excuse me. As Gatsby transformer remark. I think that should be enough. That's fine. I'm just checking if I'm missing something else. Was there a particular directory that we needed to add those to, or sub plugins? That's also you might have to go there, but probably not. So in source, in pages, here we have like still our index page, and let's make a directory called Markdown, and in here let's have a file, markdown1.md, or yeah, whatever, post.md. Sure. In here we could actually use well, actually let's start simple. Hello world, obviously. I feel like today's stream is gonna be just a bit longer because we do want to cover all these 3 source plugins. So here I am. This is the index page. Gatsby has this really nice feature where if you 404, it gives you like this 404 development page that shows you links to all other pages. And of course we don't see anything now because Gatsby only creates pages out of the box when you create a React component anywhere under pages. However, that's not a React component, that's a Markdown file. So we would need to create those pages programmatically. Before that, I would just like to do what was the GraphQL underscore GraphQL. So if we now try to run a query for all file pages node, let's say ID, whatever, any field would do, just so we can get some information back. All files, okay, all site plugin, all directory, all file, all mark, let me check. So each markdown remark. Still curious if I'm not missing anything. Hang on a second. If I have a look. Technically speaking, we shouldn't need. Let's try to do the next part where we try to create the pages. So, and that's when we're gonna figure out if that's gonna cut it or not. So in gatsby-node, this is where we would like to create those pages programmatically. We have to kind of kill the server here, and basically what we want to do here is we want to say exports.create page, which is part here of the Gatsby API. Exports create page, and what we want to do is use this API to fetch a template and then use that template to create those pages programmatically. So that's what we're gonna do here. I still have yeah, let's see. Post Markdown. Does it need like some front matter fields? And we can have here like title, post title. Oops. Good to double check. I do those title, post title, that's fine. And then the content there in the middle of the post. So if we head back here, exports, create page. So this is, we're gonna destructure GraphQL, GraphQL, and actions from this one. And we're gonna say let's get create page from actions. Then the next bit here will be basically let me see, we're gonna want to do the query. So query data, and we'll probably need to define a template. We'll get back to that. And then create pages, something along those lines. To grab ourselves some data, actually, if we do that as an async function, we don't really need to worry about, or not worry about, but like deal with promises. So let's do that. So here in the query data chunk, we're gonna have data or results of the query, and we're gonna await GraphQL query, and here will be a query. I kind of missed that part here. So yeah, here be query once we figure that out. Then we're gonna come here to the pages and we're gonna create ourselves some pages. So I have a feeling that might not really like my code right now, because we still don't get the Markdown data. Okay, that works. Let's refresh here. Let's get that. So, oh no, Markdown. No. So it's back here. To this example, in order to see how exactly to deal with the create a block with Gatsby, deal with the Markdown parts of this. Catch links, React Helmet, we don't really care. Source plugins. Oh, so we need the Gatsby source file system plugin. That's quite critical if we are to do anything. Yeah, which loads files off disk. So let's add that. Source file system. Then this is how we can resolve this part in Gatsby config. In particular, anything under pages, we're giving it the name pages. We could also go a step further and we can say that anything under pages Markdown will be called Markdown. Yeah, Markdown pages or whatever. This is how they add a remark. This is what we already did, and then this is an example post. Path. I'll try to get away without doing the path for simplicity's sake. Okay, here we are. Let's refresh graphical and let's see what do we have here. So now we have all Markdown remark. Finally. And now if we get edges node, and get the front matter title. Now we can actually grab the title of that post. So to get all of our Markdown remark posts, we don't even care for the front matter, but we do need some sort of unique identifier. So let's actually have the path. We're gonna be getting path from here. Of course, to have path, we need to kind of have it in here. So the path of this post would be, it should be kind of like a slug type of thing. Markdown 1, something like that. Cool. And now this query is actually going to return that particular data. If we come back here, uncomment our thing, and here replace our query with this string. Now we are going to be getting all Markdown remark edges node, front matter, path. That's kind of gonna act like a slug, if you will. And whenever that data is back, we can actually now proceed to create the pages. So for the next bit, I wonder, let's just console log data and see what we have. So if we run npm run develop, now we should see that output actually right here in the console. And there's error. Your plugins must export known APIs on Gatsby. Variable create page. Is that create pages? Oopsie. And this is create page from actions. My bad. So, one more your plugins. Here is our data. This is the return data. Good. We can use that to make some pages. So data contains a key called data. Actually, that's what I'm gonna rename this to results. Results or result. So that we don't have to do, you know, data dot whatever to access things. We wanna iterate over the edges array and create pages for each entry in there. And one way to do that would be, let's iterate on result data all markdown remark edges. Let's go over these guys and grows with a for each. Here we have like a child of node, so we can actually rename that entry, or we could just destructure it. But I'm gonna have a function here, and here we're gonna destructure that node. Within the node we have the front matter key in our case. So create, and we're gonna call the create page function with 3 parameters: path, component, and context, which can be an empty object. So the path is quite, that's kind of like this one. Node front matter path. Component for component, we're gonna need to have like some sort of a template that we're gonna reuse to create all those pages. So I'm gonna define it here, but we're gonna have to go and create it in a second. Actions here. Let's just call it page template, and that's gonna be path dot resolve, and we're gonna point to where that template would be. Let's say that it's in source templates page template.js, or just page.js, whatever. Now we need to also say that path will be coming in from requiring it at the top, so require path const page template path.resolve listing. I'm wondering, that's all, but use this component, use the page template component when you're building pages, and let's go and create that component. So under source, we need to create a new file under templates called page.js. Oh, let's refresh the file tree. Pages, and in here would be nice if you could have like the simplest possible thing. You could just have like a React function component, stateless. Do we need any state? I don't think so. Well, anyway, we can use hooks. Perfect. Call that page template, and we're gonna return here something. For now, I'm just gonna say div page template, and that's just gonna return a hard-coded value for every page. That's super not useful, but we're gonna take in data later on and actually make that a bit more useful. Additionally, here is where we're gonna write the query for that particular page. But yeah, let's see if this will now build. And at least we got data over there still. Some stuff and things happened. So if we look at our page, and if we go to a 404 dev page, we're gonna see one new page called Markdown 1 that just renders page template. And so in review to at least how we got up to here, what's going on is that the page template text is the hard-coded value of this. So even if we have 100 Markdown pages, we're always gonna see the one thing only, the same thing. The Markdown 1 comes from the page's path property. So just to illustrate things a little bit more, let's stop the server and let's say that this is just page 1, and let's make page 2, post title 2, post title 1, Markdown 1, hello world 1. Yeah, it's quite boring, but it's just for illustration purposes. So that's all good, and that would now mean that we would get 2 pages, and that would work, but they would both have this exact same template or like content. in the middle of the page. So if we go back to here, we see Markdown 1, Markdown 2, both returning just a hard-coded string of text. Not quite useful. Let's work on that. So what we want to do here basically is we want to write the query in such a way so that when we query Markdown remark, but not all a Markdown remark, but rather just Markdown remark, we want to query for a particular one via variables. So if I define in here a variable called slug or whatever you want to call it, or path, whatever, and let's say that I want to match with Markdown 1. Remember, this is this path here. And just to validate my assumptions, I would actually like to run this query. See, yes, this is how paths look. Slash Markdown 1. So let's say I have this variable, Markdown 1. I need a way to query for a particular Markdown remark post by that slug, by that path. So when I write my query here at the top, query Markdown pages, we can pass down this variable that we've defined. The path variable will be a string. Let's prettify this. It's never being used. Sure, we're gonna use it in a second. And when we query here the posts, we're gonna say that on the front matter field, on the path field, inside of front matter, we want to make sure that that path equals the path variable. Front matter path equals path. I wonder if I did something fishy here. Front matter path equals path. Let's see. Technically, okay. So of course we're not. We don't have like edges nodes. We're gonna just grab the front matter, and from the front matter we're gonna get the title. And additionally, from outside of the front matter, we can get the HTML of the page. Cool. That's it. That works. And this prototyped query here that matches a particular path is what we're gonna use now in our template here, where we write the query. We're gonna export page template query, which will be using graph. Oops, I need to change that snippet GraphQL to perform this query. We do need to bring in GraphQL from Gatsby as well. And now, with that being done, we should actually have access to this data. To access the Markdown remark data in here, we need to pass down here the data prop. So from props, we're just structuring data in. And now we're just gonna basically spit out in here data markdown remark HTML. We just follow down the tree, markdown remark HTML. And because this is actually HTML, we probably want to do the dangerously set inner HTML, I would assume. Yeah, let's do that. I'm actually gonna even have to pretty much look it up, but it's dangerously set inner HTML equals whatever we pass inside of here, and it has a key underscore HTML, and then we give our data to that. So the data markdown remark HTML. That's how we're going to do that part. Would be nice to close that div there. Then the page title, we're currently not really rendering anywhere because each post also has a title, so we could do that as well. We can say that, in which case I would actually rather not post title and another title. It's like let's do that. Just a regular paragraph in here, and just a regular paragraph in here, and then the title comes from front matter. So we're coming in here, and we're gonna say that that's gonna be an h1 field on the page, and the data for that field would be, we don't need to do the dangerously set inner HTML because the return data in this case is just gonna be a text string. It's not HTML like in here. So we're just gonna say that data markdown remark don't matter title. And I think we need to restart the server to see those updates. Oh no. Oh, that's super cool. Cool. So all of our posts are now being picked up. Post 1 with title 1, post 2 with title 2. So we actually are now consuming the remark transformer plugin. So to recap this part of the stream and of the progress, because this video is starting to get a bit on the longer side, we looked at how to add the transformer remark to Gatsby, to the default starter. We are also using we also added the source file system plugin in order to be able to use any file from the file system, and we pointed it out to a markdown directory of files. With that, we were able to go to gatsby-node, and we were able to programmatically create pages using a query for all markdown files, and then using the set data to create those pages with a template. This particular template lives in here and looks like that. So that template is quite simple, just a React component where again we have a query. However, this time the query is special in that it has a variable, and so every time it's generating a page, it's looking at the path variable and only querying the markdown to that particular post and getting that back. That data is then made available to the React component here via this data prop, and this is what is being used to render the rest of the page. So with that being said, we can now proceed to the other two examples for today. I had in mind the other one of the examples was JSON files and the other one was about YAML files. Let's deal with JSON files first. So let's add the Gatsby transformer JSON to our project. Yarn add Gatsby transformer JSON. While this is loading, we can have a look at the documentation for that. If you want to transform JSON files, you have to have the source file system. Sure. I'm actually thinking if we need that same sentence for here, I might actually submit a pull request to the documentation. First one, using remark, how to use, to be found here, but it never really mentions that we need to have the file system installed. Yeah, I think that could be an improvement to the documentation, to add that same sentence there at the top, pretty much like this with note. Yeah, I will definitely like to consider that. To transformer remark. So back to the JSON thing. We have installed it. Hopefully, yeah, that's right. It wants us to again point the file system somewhere, and of course it wants us to add the transformer plugin to Gatsby config. Transformer JSON. In this case, we're gonna, well, let's use the default example. They are pointing to source data. Let's do that. So under source, we have a folder called data. Here they explain about the parsing algorithm and array of objects, and if your project has a letters.json with then the following three nodes would be created. Single object and what not. Let's use again this example. Oh, they want to break it down also like so. Data letters. Okay, we can follow that example. So under data, we're going to create pages, and under here we're gonna have two files, page 1, where this is just an object, it has a value and something. Let's just go again for title, JSON page 1, and let's just say that let's just call that body of the page, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And let's just have here some lorem ipsum. So this same thing, let's have a page 2, let's have different lorem ipsum, and let's just change that to JSON page 2, a title and a body. Technically, I don't think there is anything else required. We should already be able to query that data. So if we run npm run develop, and if you go to graphical, there we go. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that, and let's write a new query. Let's see what we have available by pressing control space on Windows, or I think command maybe space on, no, it's probably still control space on Mac as well. You get like the this autocomplete. So now we're looking for this part here called all pages JSON, and the way that this name gets constructed is based on, because it's under data, we've defined that in Gatsby config that gets submitted, but anything under data participates, I guess, in the name creation. So the folder name is pages, and then JSON is being appended so that it tells us what the source of the data is. So this doesn't really play anything, I guess, at least for now. Yeah, so let's do edges. Let's do edges, node, and let's say title and body. Boom, that's the data that we grab straight up from the JSON. With that, we can now go back into our Gatsby node, and we're gonna go into here where we query the data. We don't need to make like many different queries. What we can do is we can reuse the same query, just query for different types of data. So now we do need to clean this up a little bit, like this. Now we grabbed here all markdown remark. Now we're just grabbing all pages JSON. We don't definitely need all of that data. We can use as a slug the title. It has spaces in it, so I'm not a fan. Let's use a system field. A system field is ID. It's one of those fields that I think Gatsby manages for us and creates these IDs. So we could just fetch the ID. We definitely don't need anything else. And now we have this element. I don't think there's any need to log the data. And the next bit is create pages using Markdown. We can literally duplicate all that stuff and just say that create pages using JSON. In here, we're going to say all page, and what was it called? All pages JSON. Edges for each node, and then create pages. What template, and then what path. The path would be node.id, because that's what we get back. The component we use, however, will need to be different, unfortunately, and that's because the component is, in this particular case, opinionated as to what the data that is being queried here is. So we can do super quick refactor. Here at the top, we're gonna say that this page template is markdown page template that resolves, let's stop the server, in templates markdown page JS. Then we're gonna have now JSON. Let's just do like this. JSON page template that resolves JSON page. And finally, we can update the component here to be called JSON page template, like this. All good. We do need to rename the files, so the original file will now need to be called Markdown page, and this will be called JSON page, like this. Now coming into here with the new element, I don't know if we can leave these to be the same names, but probably not. Let's just do that. Just page template. Good. We're gonna come back here. Let's refactor the markdown, so we're done with that one. This page template will be called markdown page template, and query will be called markdown page template query. I believe that's all here. JSON page template query. Well, what data we're gonna be fetching? Well, we're gonna be fetching JSON pages, where let's leave it the variable to path. What we're looking for is not markdown remark, but it is this field, so pages JSON, like this, and there is no front matter. We're just looking at the ID variable to match, because that's what we're passing from Gatsby-node. ID, so ID equals ID. If that is all right, then we're gonna return title and HTML, or title and body. Finally, we have the data available from the JSON file. It comes down here in the template. We use that data, and we go into pages JSON, and we don't go into front matter title. You just go to title, and there is no need here to dangerously set anything really. We can just do it like that, because this time we get returned simple text or plain text, and this is going to be data pages JSON body. So if we now run our server, we should finally have available also pages built with JSON, or not. Page template is not defined. Where did this error occur? Line 35. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. Gatsby-node. Go to line 35. Page template. Yeah, it definitely does not exist, because it's called a markdown page template. I guess. Oh, let's rebuild anyway. Cool. Here we are, and if we refresh our 404 page, we're gonna get a list of all the pages available. We still see our markdown pages like before, but now we also see our JSON pages that break for whatever reason. Hang on a second. Generate property pages JSON of undefined. Let's see what we did there. Pages JSON of undefined data. Pages JSON query JSON page ID string where the ID. We'll just test this query if we're receiving the data as intended. I do need to set up here a variable called ID. And if I do that, nothing's gonna return, but let me copy this ID from here first. So now, perfect. How about now? Post. So data we are getting back, and the field is indeed called pages JSON, and then title, and then body. Pages JSON, title, JSON, title, pages JSON, body. We could also have like we could console log this in here at the time of building. So I don't think that we're gonna see anything in the console. Undefined, undefined. That's let's just remove the cache. I don't think that was really the issue here at all. But nevertheless, a page exists because it throws the error. Pages JSON, is it just page JSON? But no, data is null. Did I mess up here? I feel like it's something very simple that I just don't see. JSON page template, all pages JSON. The path that we pass is that ID. Oh, so the variable has to be called path, I feel. Well, today I learned something new, I think. So this is not a custom variable that you could rename however you like. It has to match that name. Is that so? Let's try to rebuild the pages. Path was path. I think it should work now. Well, at least we get data that is null. So that's another thing. Maybe those IDs have changed or something. Let's see. No. Here are the two JSON posts. First title of null. Page JSON. Let's take a step back. So result data, all pages, JSON edges. For each node, we're creating a page with a path of the ID and a component of this component. And the components are grabbed here and utilized. So you go into the component, we match this data where the ID would equal the path. Oh come, it actually does work here. Let's do another query. All pages JSON, all edges, all nodes, and get the ID. Let's get rid of that. Okay, I wonder if there is some issue with the ID field. Nevertheless, we could always have a path field right into the JSON file and say that the path for this file would be JSON page 1 and the path for this file would be JSON page 2. With that extra data in place, we're coming in here and we're querying for the path of those nodes, and we're gonna pass the path down here. I'm gonna restart the server. Now when we come in here, we're gonna be matching the path field. I don't need to query it back. We're just going to be matching the path field to be equal to the path variable that is a string. Let's try that again. I would hate to leave this stream with a non-working example, but hey, so JSON page 1 renders JSON page 2, and again cannot read property title of no. This is crazy. I'm just gonna comment those out just so that the build wouldn't break anymore. And now when we go to the page, we're gonna see nothing, which is interesting. Location. Page render. App container, JSON page template. So pages JSON is now. Very, very interesting. let's do edges node, and then let's look for path. Oh, pages. And if I do pages JSON where path equals to path, and then get from that title and body, and here where we say query, we're gonna say that path is of type string, and here we're gonna define path to be equal to JSON page 2. Pretty fine. Run. How does it data pages JSON? How does it fucking work here? Data pages JSON title body. This is crazy. I wonder if we can cache public don't think that's the issue here. Maybe there is like some collision of how my file structure is. There's something dodgy there coming up, but that's still super weird how I don't get like any data when generating the pages, and I get data when prototyping in here, and I have this same query exactly here. Query, just do it anonymous, whatever. Pages JSON path. Yeah, it's the same thing. Is it about the name really? No, it's not about the name. Data, just log the data. JSON page template. All right. Either way, I have some sort of like a name collision or something. That's not to take away from what we actually checked today, which is how to use different data sources. It goes in much the same fashion with YAML. You would do more or less the same thing and then just source a YAML file and then use that data much in the same way like JSON. So there is not like a whole lot of need to demonstrate that. But yeah, I think on this side note we could leave it off. So talk to you guys later.